How many times did you get up to pee last night? Once, twice, maybe three times. And when was the last time you actually slept through the night without being interrupted by your own bladder? If you're over 60, chances are you know exactly what I'm talking about. That annoying constant urge to urinate, the weak stream, the feeling that you never fully empty your bladder. And then when you finally crawl back into bed, you just lie there wide awake again. For many men, these symptoms aren't just a minor inconvenience. They're daily frustrations that steal away your energy, your confidence, and sometimes even your sex life. It's called benign prostatic hyperplasia or an enlarged prostate, and it affects the majority of men as we age. But just because it's common doesn't mean it's normal or that you have to live with it. In this video, we're going to talk about three powerful natural vitamins that have been scientifically shown to help reduce the size of your prostate and relieve those frustrating urinary symptoms without relying on harsh medications or invasive procedures. If you're tired of waking up every night feeling embarrassed about your body or quietly fearing what might be happening inside, you're in the right place. If you've experienced any of these problems, or if you're just starting to notice the signs, drop a number one in the comments below. That's how I'll know this matters to you and that you're ready to take control of your health. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel so you never miss these simple but powerful tools that can help you live with more freedom, confidence, and control. Now let's get started. The truth is, your body isn't failing you. It's following a script written by Biology 1 that most men were never taught to read. Let's start with the basics. The prostate is a small walnut-sized gland that sits just below your bladder. It wraps around your urethra, the narrow tube that carries urine from your bladder out of your body. In your younger years, you probably never even noticed it was there. But as you age, this quiet little gland can start to grow. And as it does, it begins to squeeze your urethra, slowly choking off the flow of urine. That's why your stream gets weaker, why you feel like you can't quite empty your bladder, and why you're making those half asleep trips to the bathroom night after night. But what's actually triggering that growth? It all starts with a hormone you've known about your whole life. Testosterone. Testosterone is what gives you your deep voice, your facial hair, your muscle mass, and your sex drive. But in your body, testosterone doesn't stay in one form. It gets converted into something called DHT, short for dihydrotestosterone, through the action of an enzyme called 5-alpha reductase. DHT is much more potent than testosterone. It binds more strongly to hormone receptors in the prostate and sends powerful signals that stimulate the cells to grow. And while DHT plays an important role during puberty, helping to develop male sexual characteristics, too much of it later in life can become a serious problem, especially for your prostate. Here's where it gets tricky. After age 50, your overall testosterone levels begin to decline slowly year by year. But 5-alpha reductase, that enzyme doesn't slow down. In fact, as testosterone drops, your body often converts a larger percentage of it into DHT. So even though you have less testosterone, you can end up with more DHT, and that means more pressure on your prostate. This imbalance, low testosterone, high DHT, is one of the silent drivers of benign prostatic hyperplasia. It turns a healthy walnut-sized gland into something the size of a lemon, or worse. And when that gland swells, it doesn't just press on your urethra. It sends a ripple effect through your entire quality of life. Urinary symptoms worsen, bladder strain increases, your sleep becomes fragmented, and your sexual performance can begin to suffer too, not only from the physical obstruction, but from the psychological toll of constant discomfort and frustration. If you've been wondering why this is happening now, why your body feels out of sync, why your bladder won't cooperate, why your energy is lower and your confidence is fading, it's not your fault. It's not just aging, it's biology. But it's also something you can influence. And this is exactly where three often overlooked natural vitamins can start to shift the equation by calming the inflammation, rebalancing hormone activity, and helping to shrink the prostate from within. These are not miracle pills. They're tools backed by science that can help you support your body's own ability to recover. And we're going to break each one of them down, starting with a powerful but misunderstood ally, vitamin D. Let's take a closer look. So, if the real culprit behind prostate overgrowth is this hormonal shift, less testosterone, more DHT, then the next logical question becomes how do we regain balance without diving straight into medications with long lists of side effects? This is where vitamin D steps into the spotlight. Now, most people think of vitamin D as the sunshine vitamin good for your bones, maybe helpful for your immune system. But what they don't realize is that vitamin D is also a powerful regulator of hormonal activity, especially the conversion of testosterone into DHT. It turns out that vitamin D helps suppress the activity of an enzyme called 5 alpha reductase, the very enzyme that transforms your precious testosterone into the very thing that's fueling prostate growth. Think of it like this: 5 alpha reductase is the accelerator, DHT is the fuel, and vitamin D is the foot on the brake. When vitamin D levels are sufficient, they help ease that conversion, reducing excess DHT buildup. That means less overstimulation of your prostate and more balance in your hormonal environment. On top of that, by easing the DHT pressure, vitamin D can also help maintain healthier levels of free testosterone, the stuff that actually supports your energy, mood, and libido as you age. But vitamin D doesn't just work on the hormonal level, it's also a frontline soldier in regulating chronic inflammation, especially the kind that affects the pelvic region in men over 60. Many men are told they have non bacterial prostatitis when they complain of pain, pressure, or discomfort in the pelvic floor, even though no infection can be found. This can lead to rounds of unnecessary antibiotics with little relief. What's really happening in many of these cases is immune imbalance and localized inflammation, something vitamin D is uniquely positioned to help correct. In fact, vitamin D acts more like a hormone than a typical vitamin. It modulates immune cells, reduces inflammatory signaling, and helps calm down the hyperreactivity in sensitive pelvic tissues. It also appears to reduce sensitivity in trigger points in the pelvic floor, those subtle muscle knots that can cause deep pressure aching near the rectum or base of the penis and make urination feel incomplete or uncomfortable. Now, this isn't just theory. Studies published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition have shown a direct connection between vitamin D deficiency and both prostate enlargement and urinary symptoms in aging men. One study demonstrated that daily supplementation with 4,000 to 6,000 IU of vitamin D helped reduce prostate volume in just 8 to 12 weeks, particularly in men who were significantly deficient. A meta analysis of clinical trials went even further, suggesting that vitamin D status might be a predictive marker for BPH severity. The lower the D levels, the worse the urinary symptoms. So, what does this mean for you? It means that something as simple and accessible as vitamin D could be playing a foundational role in your prostate health, and chances are you've been ignoring it for years. The good news is it's never too late to take action. The form you want is vitamin D3 or cholecalciferol, the same kind your body makes from sunlight. If you've never tested your levels, a safe starting dose is 2,000 IU per day. If your blood work shows you're deficient, your doctor may recommend 4,000 or even 5,000 IU daily for several weeks. But here's the catch: vitamin D is fat soluble. That means it needs dietary fat to be absorbed properly. Taking it on an empty stomach or with just water won't do the job. Pair it with eggs, avocado, salmon, something with natural fats, and your body will thank you. And don't skip the follow up. Get your 25 OH vitamin D levels checked after 8 weeks to make sure you're where you need to be. Still skeptical, let me introduce you to John. He's 67, retired, and had been struggling for years with interrupted sleep, 3, sometimes 4 bathroom trips per night, each one stealing a little more energy, a little more peace. He tried medication, but the side effects, dizziness, low blood pressure, left him feeling worse. Then he came across the research on vitamin D. A blood test showed his levels at just 18 ml, well below the optimal range. He began taking 5,000 IU of vitamin D3 each morning, always with breakfast, usually eggs and avocado. 2 months later, a follow-up test showed his levels had climbed into the 40s. But more importantly, for the first time in years, John slept through the night. No bathroom runs, no foggy mornings, just a sense that maybe for the first time in a while, his body was working with him, not against him. That's the potential of vitamin D, not as a miracle cure, but as a strategic ally. One that supports your hormones, calms your inflammation, and helps give your body the tools it needs to heal from the inside out. And that's just the beginning because there's another vitamin that doesn't just protect your prostate, it helps repair and restore it on a cellular level. Let's talk about vitamin E. If vitamin D is your internal regulator quietly working behind the scenes to calm hormones and soothe inflammation, then vitamin E is the shield that protects the physical structure of your prostate from the relentless wear and tear of aging. Most men don't realize this, but as we get older, our prostate tissues are constantly under oxidative stress. This means that free radicals, unstable molecules created during chronic inflammation, are slowly chipping away at the healthy cells that make up this small but essential gland. Over time, this invisible damage accumulates, weakening the integrity of the prostate and contributing to that gradual, frustrating enlargement that so many men over 60 experience. Here's the key: prostate cells are rich in lipids. That's what makes them so vulnerable. These fatty cell membranes are prime targets for oxidative damage. And once those membranes start breaking down, inflammation escalates, fibrosis develops, and the gland begins to harden and swell. Vitamin E, particularly in the form of D-alpha tocopherol, is one of the most potent fat-soluble antioxidants available. Its job to neutralize those destructive free radicals before they can do harm. When you supply your body with enough vitamin E, you're reinforcing your cells, especially the fragile tissues of your prostate, with a line of defense that helps slow the inflammatory cascade, reduce scarring, and prevent excessive tissue growth. And the benefits don't stop there. As the prostate ages, its microcirculation, the delicate network of tiny blood vessels that feeds and oxygenates it, begins to falter. Blood flow becomes sluggish, oxygen delivery drops, and healing slows to a crawl. This is why some men develop that dull, constant sense of pelvic pressure or stiffness. It's not always pain, it's more like a sense that something inside is tense, swollen, or out of balance. Sometimes you don't need a formal diagnosis, you just feel it in your body, that vague tension that never really goes away. It's not sharp, it's not dramatic, but it pulls at your focus, interrupts your rhythm, makes everything feel just slightly off. And deep down, you know something in your most intimate region isn't flowing the way it should. This is where vitamin E shows its quiet strength. By supporting endothelial function, the health of those microvessels, it helps restore smoother blood flow to the pelvic floor and prostate. This renewed circulation doesn't just support tissue repair. It also helps relieve urinary symptoms like hesitancy dribbling or that frustrating sense of incomplete emptying. In short, vitamin E helps bring life back to an area that's been slowly stiffening and losing vitality over time. And the science backs this up. Clinical studies have shown that men who regularly supplement with natural vitamin E, again, that's D-alpha tocopherol, exhibit significantly lower markers of inflammation than those who don't. A study from the Harvard School of Public Health found that men with the highest blood levels of tocopherol had a 25% lower risk of developing BPH compared to those with lower levels. The takeaway: vitamin E isn't just a protective nutrient, it's a predictive one. But there's a crucial distinction to make. Not all vitamin E is created equal. The natural form, labeled as D-alpha tocopherol, is absorbed more efficiently and stored more effectively in tissues, including the prostate. The synthetic form D-alpha tocopherol is cheaper, but has weaker biological activity and may accumulate in the body if taken in high doses. For long-term prostate support, always choose the natural form. As for how to take it, the safe and effective dose for men over 60 is around 100 to 200 IU per day. This is enough to offer protection without risking side effects. And because its fat-soluble timing matters, take it with a meal that contains some healthy fat to enhance absorption. Think olive oil, avocado, salmon, or nuts. A word of caution: if you're on blood thinners like warfarin, speak to your doctor before adding vitamin E. In high doses, it can increase bleeding risk. Also, avoid stacking it with other supplements that contain large amounts of vitamin E unless you're being medically supervised. In short, vitamin E is like a quiet but loyal guard for your prostate. It doesn't make headlines like testosterone or DHT, but it works behind the scenes to keep your tissues intact, your circulation flowing, and your symptoms at bay. Now, we've talked about the internal regulators and the protectors, but what if we could also enlist a couple of defenders nutrients that not only support immunity, but also help the prostate resist chronic inflammation from another angle. That's where vitamin C and zinc come in. Let's explore why these two work best as a team and how they could be the missing link in your recovery. Beyond hormones and antioxidants, there's a silent force that steadily erodes prostate health in men over 60, low-grade non-infectious inflammation and a weakened local immune response. These are not the dramatic bacterial infections that send you rushing to a urologist. These are the quiet fires, persistent, hard to detect, and often overlooked. And for men experiencing symptoms like frequent nighttime urination urgency or pelvic discomfort, but with no sign of infection in lab tests, this is the missing piece. This is where vitamin C and zinc step in, not as flashy solutions, but as foundational defenders. Let's start with vitamin C. It may be known for immune support during flu season, but for the aging prostate, its job is far more crucial. Vitamin C is a water-soluble antioxidant that directly neutralizes the free radicals generated by chronic smoldering inflammation inside the prostate tissue. These free radicals damage DNA, destabilize cell membranes, and fuel the cycle of tissue irritation and swelling. But C does more than just mop up damage. It aids in rebuilding. By supporting collagen synthesis, vitamin C helps maintain the elasticity and flexibility of the supportive matrix surrounding the prostate. That means less stiffness, less tension in the pelvic area, and a prostate that feels less tight, even when it's slightly enlarged. On top of that, vitamin C enhances the activity of neutrophils, your body's first line of immune defense. These white blood cells play a vital role in clearing out micro-inflammatory zones inside the prostate, especially when no bacteria are present and antibiotics are useless. In short, vitamin C strengthens both the outer shield and inner healing. Now let's talk about zinc. Most men don't realize that the prostate contains the highest concentration of zinc in the male body, higher than even the blood or the testes. That's no accident. Zinc is the mineral lifeline of the prostate. When its levels drop, everything from hormone regulation to immune balance starts to go off course. First, zinc helps inhibit the enzyme 5-alpha reductase, the same enzyme we discussed earlier that converts testosterone into DHT. Like vitamin D, zinc helps reduce DHT levels, but it does so through a complementary pathway, reinforcing hormonal balance from a different angle. Second, zinc is critical for immune surveillance. It boosts antibody production within the prostate and supports anti-inflammatory enzymes that help dial down unnecessary immune reactions. In other words, zinc keeps your prostate immune response active, but not overactive. Third, zinc is essential for testosterone synthesis and maintaining healthy sperm and libido. That's why low zinc isn't just a prostate issue, it's a sexual health issue. And when zinc levels fall too low, the prostate loses its ability to self-regulate growth. That's when benign prostatic hyperplasia, BPH, becomes more likely to take hold. Let's look at the data. According to studies published by the National Institute of Urological Health, men with low serum zinc tend to have higher PSA levels even without cancer, likely due to chronic inflammation. In supplementation trials, men taking 15 to 30 milliliters of zinc per day showed significant decreases in inflammatory markers and a measurable reduction in prostate volume after just 12 weeks. Meanwhile, research published in European Urology highlights the benefits of vitamin C doses of 1,000 milliliters per day, reduce symptoms like nocturia and urgency, especially in men with negative cultures, meaning no bacteria were found, but inflammation persisted. So how do you take them correctly? Start with vitamin C. Choose an esterified form, such as ester C or calcium ascorbate, for better absorption and gentler digestion. It's best taken in the morning with food. If you're taking higher doses above 500 milliliters, avoid taking it close to bedtime. It can be mildly stimulating. As for zinc, the ideal dose is 15 to 30 milliliters per day, taken after a meal, typically lunch or dinner. Be cautious not to combine it with high doses of calcium or iron, as those can compete for absorption. And avoid exceeding 40 milliliters a day unless instructed by a healthcare professional, as too much zinc can backfire and suppress immune function. And now comes the turning point. Let's imagine there are two versions of you. One is stuck in the same frustrating loop, flare-ups, antibiotics, no answers, then back to square one. The other starts a quiet shift. After 6 weeks of targeted micronutrient support, nothing extreme, just two overlooked essentials, you begin to feel something different. Less urgency, fewer interruptions at night, a sense that your body is beginning to cooperate again rather than resist you. The choice isn't dramatic, it's subtle, but the direction it points you in is everything because ultimately your prostate health isn't just about reacting to problems. Two, it's about restoring a rhythm in your body that you can feel, one that gives you the dignity, confidence, and control that every man deserves as he ages. And now that you've met all three of your allies, vitamin D, vitamin E, and the duo of vitamin C and zinc, it's time to put them into action. But before we close, let's make sure you know exactly how to begin step by step, starting tomorrow morning. Let's wrap this up with a simple, powerful routine you can follow each day, even with the busiest schedule. Now, if these vitamins are so effective, you might ask, why didn't your body fix this on its own? Why does the prostate become such a persistent issue in your 60s and beyond? The truth is, your body's self healing machinery slows down with age, especially after 60. You absorb fewer nutrients from food. Your digestive lining becomes less efficient at pulling in what you need. Hormone production, particularly testosterone, declines steadily. Even the enzymes responsible for repair and anti inflammatory defense start to downregulate. But there's another factor we rarely talk about: circulation. Most older men spend long hours sitting on the couch, in the car, at the table without realizing that this compresses the pelvic region and restricts blood flow. The prostate is a small gland, but it's incredibly vascular. When blood doesn't move, inflammation stagnates. Nutrients don't reach the tissue. Waste products accumulate, and recovery stalls. That's why the real solution isn't just popping supplements. It's about building an internal environment where healing becomes possible again. You need three pillars working together: targeted vitamins, a low inflammatory diet, and pelvic floor activation. These don't have to be complicated. In fact, just a few minutes a day can change the game. Gentle movements like the frog pose or happy baby aren't just for yoga classes. They help decompress the pelvic floor, release muscular tension, and allow blood to flow freely around the prostate. Combine that with daily intake of vitamin D to regulate hormones, vitamin E to protect the tissues, and vitamin C with zinc to strengthen your local immunity, and suddenly you're no longer fighting a losing battle. You're laying the foundation for healing because here's the truth: vitamins are just the starting point. Though without circulation, they're like bricks with no mortar present, but unable to hold anything together. But once you bring blood flow and movement back into the picture, everything starts to shift. And now it's time to bring this full circle. Let's rewind to where we started. How many times did you get up to pee last night? And how long has it been since you slept through the night undisturbed? Now, you know the real reason behind that: how DHT inflammation, oxidative damage, and immune dysfunction slowly build up until your prostate becomes an obstacle to peace. But you also know this: there are three small yet powerful allies within reach. Vitamin D to bring hormones back into balance. Vitamin E to shield and restore the integrity of prostate tissue. Vitamin C and zinc to bolster your immune defense and reduce silent inflammation. Individually, they help. Together, they become a strategy. You don't have to rely on medications that leave you dizzy, dry mouthed, or worse, facing surgery with a catheter bag by your side. You just need to start now, not when symptoms get worse, not when your doctor says the word operation, but now while your body still has the capacity to respond. Try this combination for 4 to 6 weeks. Track your sleep. Notice your stream. Pay attention to how you feel in your body when you sit, walk, or lie in bed. You may be surprised by what just a few intentional choices can restore. You don't have to live in fear of leaking urine, missing out on intimacy, or being tethered to medication for the rest of your life. You deserve to take back control of your body, one day, one breath, one nutrient at a time. Now, before you go, how did today's content resonate with you? Did anything make you reflect more deeply on how you care for your health? Feel free to share your age, your year of birth, and where you're watching from in the comments. We genuinely value getting to know our viewers better so we can continue bringing you meaningful insights and practical tools to support your well being every day. And if you found today's message helpful, Don't forget to like this video and subscribe so you never miss out on the kind of content that helps you live healthier, longer, one day at a time. Now let's take the first step together.